Good evening again, and apologies for the technical problem. This is Let's Talk Automotive episode 38, and in tonight's show we have the latest news. We review the Peugeot 2008, and our guest tonight is Freddie and Gerhardt Siebert, and they are from Rev Tyre Tech, Peter East.
And then we have your favorite part of the evening, Game Time. And then our segment on how things work, where we're going to have a look at how air conditioners in your car work. And then my favorite part of the evening, Tappet of the Week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Let's Talk Automotive. So Peter, for you, it's been a busy week. We had lots of fun with the Peugeot, the 2008.
No, the 2008.
We'll get to that a bit later.
And then you and Vish had some fun with the BMW 128 Ti launch.
Yes, we had lots of fun, Pete, and unfortunately this time it wasn't just us that went because we were invited. They actually said to us that this hot hatch is not really for old people.
Is that why I didn't get invited?
So that's why you weren't invited.
Oh, nice. I see you ready for racing?
I am, Pete. I'm desperately waiting for the F1 and MotoGP to start next month. I cannot wait. I'm tapped out.
I just hope that it's not more of the same. I was hoping that Lewis Hamilton would retire. But I suppose with all the shake-ups in the teams and the new drivers...
It's definitely going to be very interesting.
And I'm really looking forward to Mick Schumacher as well. So
absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the show going. Remember that this is a live and interactive show. So please, follow us on our Facebook page. And also, please share the video while we're going. And remember that you can actually talk to us while we're busy doing this. So if you have any questions for us, especially for Professor Peter Fuljoen and our guests, we're doing a mini product launch today with Freddie and Gerhardt from Rev Tyre Tech, Peter East. So if you have questions for them, please pop those questions into the comments below. All right, let's get this started. Let's get into this week's news. All right, so the first story tonight, Peter, is with regards, it's a little bit of bad news, unfortunately, for South African motorists, and this is on the fuel tax.
Look, I think we got off lightly with the budget speech. So personal tax, everybody was worried that personal tax was going to go up. So I suppose government's got to get money from somewhere.
Yeah.
And one of the easy targets is fuel. But I tell you what, we pay a lot of tax in our fuel.
Yes. And we've actually had this discussion before, and we actually broke down the percentage-wise what we actually pay for fuel, and the rest goes to taxes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, the two taxes that are going up in terms of our fuel is the general fuel levy, which is going to be 15 cents a litre.
Yes, that's a lot.
And then the road accident fund, that perennial pit of failure, is going to be 11 cents a litre.
Yeah.
And between those two, just those two, that makes up 38% of the fuel price per litre.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, a little bit of bad news, guys, but I guess we're all in it together. Proudly South African. But let's move on to some good news. Very interesting story. Land Rover Defender Works V8 Trophy sold out within 3 days. Now, this is a very interesting story because this is the guys building 25 of the older shape Defender.
Yep.
And like it said there, 3 days, those 25 cars were sold out.
But you know how much they cost?
No, tell me.
The entry level, the 90 series,
yes,
4 million rand.
Yo. That's a lot of money, but I guess obviously there was a demand.
And I think probably a good investment. So 25 sold out in 3 days. Well, who are we to talk? I think it's just jealousy that's
making
talking.
You nasty, yeah. All right, moving on and talking about V8, this is a very interesting story, and sticking to the Land Rover. 2022 Land Rover Defender V8 first look. This is a supercharged screamer, as they say in this article, Pete.
Oh, God bless Land Rover. In a day and age where we are seriously moving towards electric vehicles, this is such a breath of fresh air for
I
me.
agree.
And I mean, what a performer as well.
I agree. So is that going to be on your short list?
It's definitely going to be on my shortlist, for sure.
One thing that was very interesting, in that article they said that the current new Defender is also, the normal range is going to also get a update.
Bit of an update.
A bit of an update.
And we're seeing this more and more, you know, with technologies and rapid prototyping and all these kind of things, the life cycle of vehicles is getting shorter,
Yeah.
which I don't think is a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the performance figures on this V8, by the way, are staggering.
So one interesting fact that you have there for us is the 0 to 100.
So on the Land Rover Defender V8 supercharged,
Yes.
its 0 to 100 is 4.9 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, I mean,
So put that into context.
it's huge. The Lamborghini Countach, which is really, I mean, come on,
One of
that's
an
iconic
yeah.
supercar. 0 to 100, 5.4 seconds.
Can
So this
you-
is quicker than a Countach.
And just think about the profile of the vehicle. The one looks like a square. Can I say brick?
It's
Can I say
a brick. Let's face it.
So the brick there, it does it quicker than the Countach.
And it's heavier.
Yes. How much does it weigh, by the way, Pete?
So unladen, they start off at just over 2 tons. But
Yeah.
if you put your mother-in-law in there, it can go up to 5. Eh?
That's Peter and Fanie's mother-in-law, by the way.
No, it's not.
All right, Pete. That brings us to the end of the news segment. So yeah, let's talk about that 2008.
Yeah, so we went to Westphal Menlyn, and we reviewed the 2008. Fantastic vehicle.
2008.
Oh, there I go again. I'm gonna get assassinated. So the 2008.
Yes.
We speak about this in the review, and of course, this review is proudly brought to you by King Price Insurance.
Awesome. Let's have a look.
Now everyone's saying it. If you drive less, you pay less for car insurance. But how much less? A tad less. A smidge less. Around 20%-ish less? Or a whole lot less? Like 70% less for comprehensive car insurance from South Africa's hottest pay-per-K insurer, Chili from King Price. We're big into less. Like 70% less. Visit kingprice.co.za for a quote.
We are here at Westphal, this Peugeot dealership here in Menlyn, quite new. And I had a meeting with Kevin Lombard, the DP here, earlier this week. And he took me through this amazing new dealership. And we stopped, and he showed me this new Peugeot 2008.
No,
Not
2008.
2008, but that's an old model, man. 2020 now.
It's quite interesting.
It's
It's
2021 now.
In South Africa, we go 2008. But unfortunately, there's a certain British agent that's going to come after you if you call it a 2008. So it's a 2008. It's actually a model I've been looking forward to having a look at.
I was blown away. It bugged me since the first time I saw it, and I said, listen, we need to do a review on this car.
For many years, I think, in fact, a lot of the French manufacturers have always been distinct in terms of their design. So
Correct.
you can't confuse this
With
with
anything else.
any other vehicle. It's typically Peugeot. There are some nice design cues, just talking about the heritage, because you must remember Peugeot is one of the oldest car manufacturers
Yeah.
that is around as well. So here we see a fang of a lion over here. You can't really pick it up on the Allure. You'll have a look at the GT line lights, but these are the claws.
Claw marks and whatever the case is.
Because of course it is a lion.
Exactly. Let's move to the side. Obviously, we're test driving the Allure today, but again, nicely diamond cut alloy wheels.
Awesome ride height as well.
Correct.
Not a 4x4, but
Yeah.
it's a little SUV.
Absolutely. I like the lines, very, very distinctive, like you said. Not like something else that you've seen.
For sure. And then at the rear, this seems to be a bit of a design cue now for the SUVs in the Peugeot range. So these are very similar to the 5008 and the 3008 lights.
Yeah.
Translated now into the 2008, it looks fantastic. This car looks a lot bigger than the outgoing 2008.
That's exactly my point. That it's completely different cars. The previous model didn't really look like a SUV. It looked like a bigger
hatch.
Yeah.
Now we're sitting inside. I want you to start the vehicle and let's have a look at what the cluster looks like.
Just look at that.
It's such a pity that we don't have 3D glasses for the viewers, because actually this cluster is in 3D, which is amazing.
Unfortunately, you won't be able to see that on air, but it's actually, like you say, a 3D screen, and that is just simply amazing. Let's run through this infotainment center. So this is a 10-inch touchscreen infotainment center.
Yep, and it's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
Apple CarPlay, all the normal stuff. This is something that just boggles my mind. I really feel like I'm in a fighter jet.
For sure.
Toggle switches.
So the switchgear is fantastic.
Yeah.
Moving a little bit further down, this is where we start to get to the business end. So we've got 4 USB ports, 3 of which are USB-Cs. So here's a USB-C, and that means for those that are not in the know, this is not only can transport a lot of data, but it's also for charging.
Yeah.
And there's 2 at the rear over here,
Yeah.
which is an absolute must-have for kids.
Yes,
They
these
demand
days.
that. And then
Just look at this feature. This is one of my favorites.
this is very cool. So if we just open this cover over here,
So it's not just a small little cubbyhole.
no, it's a wireless charging docking station.
Yeah.
But if you're in a bit of a rush and you don't want to connect your phone through to the infotainment system for your media,
Yeah.
you can still just run your phone off here.
That's a
and leave
very
it.
clever touch. And
That
that's
is.
something that I've seen before.
Very cool. I love the attention to detail on that. So again, looking at the detail, if we have a look at the door trim, you can
Yeah.
see the colors on the door trim. Obviously the are different
The
colors that are
stitching, yeah.
available, but the stitching matches the stitching on the trim,
On the seats.
and the carpet's stitching matches the seat stitching.
All right, let's take this puppy for a drive.
Excellent.
So Pete, my initial feeling when I got into this car and when I started actually driving very slowly in the parking lot is that this is probably one of the softest steering wheels that I've ever had in my life.
It is, and it's going to firm up, as you'll feel now as we're driving. You'll feel it start to firm up.
Yeah,
So it's an electric motor that
Right.
gives the power assistance.
and I can immediately feel it now.
Yeah. And in the early days of electric motors, when they used them, there was a lot of criticism because it almost felt like there was a delay.
Yes.
But you'll feel now that this is a very direct feel on the
Very.
steering wheel. But here's a few other things that I wanted to highlight to you. And that is that despite this not being a 4x4, it's got some 4x4 settings,
Yeah.
believe it or not. So let's start with the drive modes. So it's got traditional drive modes that you'd find in a SUV. So we've got normal, we've got mud, we've got snow.
Not that we'd
So-
use that every like 10th year in Pretoria.
And sand.
Yeah. So let's talk about the engine quickly. It's a 1.2 litre turbo engine.
Yep.
I must say that it's actually very responsive. I'm not feeling any turbo lag to speak of. The gearbox is actually very well geared as well. So yeah, what's your sort of first impression from driving?
Well, sitting in the passenger seat, the car feels very sprightly, I've got to say.
Yeah.
So not your typical 1.2 litre type of response out of the engine.
Yeah.
I was expecting, on a car this size, I was expecting it to be a little bit asthmatic, but it's not. It's very perky.
All right. I think it's time that you get behind the steering wheel.
Excellent.
Okay, Pete, so you're in the driver's seat. What's your first impression behind the steering wheel?
The first impression, unfortunately for me, is I've got a problem with the steering wheel. It is in the way of the cluster. Now, I can tilt it down, and I've got full view of the cluster, but now I feel like I'm driving
Yeah.
with the steering wheel between my kneecaps,
Sure.
which is a bit of a weird feeling. I prefer a nice high
Just to
position of the
mention,
steering
this
wheel.
is telescopic and up and down, so
Yeah.
you can move it up and down and everywhere.
So I suppose there, but then I feel like I've got FOMO. I'm missing out on the bottom half of the cluster.
Yeah.
But let's leave it there and let's see if I get used to it. It really, I suppose, boils down to just the fact that we've got to get used to it.
We will.
I tell you, the advantage though is the small steering wheel does give the car a bit more of a dynamic feel.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I mean, we are at altitude
Yes.
and we're going up quite a steep hill over here, and I'll tell you what, this little motor is hugely impressive. I'm quite astounded actually. It feels like we've got a nice big engine in here.
and in this price segment compared to other vehicles, I'm finding that I'm getting a lot more here for the same sort of price.
Yes, no, for sure.
And that brings us to the elephant in the room. Peugeot as a brand. You know, when I came to see Kevin in the dealership, it's just almost a brand that is always been there, but we don't really actually give it attention.
It's a great tragedy for me, because if you think about the fact that Peugeot is huge in Europe. I mean, it's a dominant player in Europe, and rightly so. The cars are fantastic. I'm a little bit biased. I have a Peugeot.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is honestly one of the most underrated vehicles that I can describe. So I think Peugeot did go through a bit of a speed bump in South Africa where they developed a poor reputation.
Yeah.
But I think the reality is that a good car is like a good movie. You don't necessarily have to advertise it and market aggressively. The word gets out. And I think that the people cannot, for too much longer, be too hard on Peugeot anymore.
I agree.
You know, you got to come to the party at some stage and recognize and realize that these cars are brilliant.
I agree, and I think as a final thought on our test drive, yes, they've gone through a bit of an issue, like you say. I know that main concern probably was a part supply at a stage. You know, guys waited for a long time, but they have gone through some changes. You know, at management level in South Africa, I think they're on the right track. And what I must say is that if we look at the vehicles now, there's a huge step up from the previous model lineup to this current model lineup. When we look at the 2008, the 3008, the 5008, they are. It looks like a new brand completely for me.
For sure. And just to end off on that concept of a new brand, you must look at the investment that the brand is making in South Africa. So not only are there new dealers that are opening up, but head office.
Yeah.
The facility at head office is absolutely stunning. So there's a massive parts warehouse, beautiful offices. So you can see that the will of Peugeot is here.
Mr. Viljoen, that was a lot of fun, eh?
Yeah, that was proper, eh?
Like I said, we were very excited to come and drive this car, and it definitely didn't disappoint.
For sure, it didn't disappoint. There are a few things that I wanted to actually make mention of that impressed me. The first is that when you've got a 3-cylinder 1.2 litre engine, you're always looking for excuses as to why it seems to be performing properly.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, we forgot very quickly that this was a 3-pot little engine, and it performed amazingly.
Agreed. Okay, so Peter, I'm in the back. This is your driving position. And I must say, for a Fanie fit, I'll give this probably 8 out of 10. I've got more than enough space for my legs. There's headroom. I must say that when the door's closed, you know, there's a little bit of a angle coming up. So, I think 2 people in the back, couple of kids in the back, everything, but more 3 people in the back won't work.
For sure, but I don't think it's designed for that, to be honest. I think two adults is a temporary measure, 3 children comfortably.
Agree. And one of the cool things, I must show you that, and we'll zoom in on this, these little lights here at the back are simply touch screen, little soft touch, and it comes on. It's amazing, the attention to detail. I think the only thing we need to do is give our ratings out of 10 in this segment.
Okay, so I'll kick off and I'll justify what I'm going to say. I think if we look at our tick box exercise in terms of what impresses us in a vehicle, there's a lot of attention to detail in the design.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technology that's been applied.
Agree.
There's a lot of things that are different, like the 3-dimensional cluster that I just love every time I switch on and I see this 3-dimensional graphics at play. The engine really astounded me, and I think for that, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, no doubt.
Pete, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. The only reason was that there's a couple of small things when you go around the car. You know, the back windows don't go down all the way. The steering wheel, I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to be 100% comfortable with that down the line. But the cool factor here, is a 10 out of 10 because I like driving something different. It's not the same. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The cool factor here I'll give that a 10 out of 10. But for the car overall as a package, an 8 out of 10.
Okay, well there we go. So difference of opinion slightly, but nonetheless, this car really deserves some consideration from buyers looking in this category. And on that note, we look forward to seeing you next time on Let's Talk Automotive.
See you next time, guys. Have a good one. Straight into guests of the week, and Freddie and Gerhardt Siebert are joining us in studio tonight, and they are from Rev Tyre Tech, Pretoria East. Before we get there, let's just have a final thought on that car, Pete.
Well, I think it's a car that's going to shock a lot of people for a start.
Shocked me.
It did shock you. So as I said, I'm a bit biased. I've got a bit of a history with the brand. So,
Yeah.
But nonetheless, an incredibly impressive vehicle. And I think maybe just a shout out to Kevin and Yanni from Westville. Yeah,
awesome.
For
Thanks,
hosting
guys.
us and giving us a chance to drive the vehicle.
Appreciate it. And that was brought to you by King Price Insurance. And remember to SMS King to 31452 for a quote. They promise they'll treat you like royalty, apparently. All right, guys, let's get into our guests of the week. Thanks, guys, for joining us in studio.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
All right, so before we get into talking about the product that we want to talk about tonight, you guys are obviously petrol heads because I just see KTMs and I see Ford Mustangs. And well, tell us a little bit about your love for cars.
Well, that's not our business. It wasn't our main business.
Yeah.
We did some fiber installations and stuff, and then at least we could afford stuff like that. So we went into, first we did some Jeep 4x4ing, and then from there we went on to the KTMs and Enduro, and then now we're on the speed thing.
And it's
again.
obviously a family affair.
Yeah, definitely.
Listen,
Definitely.
you've got two more sons. Is it
Yeah.
three?
Yeah.
Okay, so and everybody's on bikes and
Everyone
running
who
around.
won. Even the
On a
Muslim.
KTM.
All right. Before we get into questions about the product, I think let's show the viewers at home what we're talking about. So let's just have a look at this short little video and then we'll come back.
Rev Tyre Tech. The first step is to remove, inspect and clean the tire. This is done by Rev Tyre Tech trained technicians. Next, we prepare the tire for coating by sanding the inner wall of the tire so that our nanopolymer bonds perfectly to the tire and forms another layer of protection against punctures. The tire is then positioned for nanopolymer coating, which is sprayed onto the tire inner wall at a whopping 200 degrees Celsius. Finally, the tire is removed and allowed to cool, ensuring a perfect coating before the tires are rebalanced and refitted. The coating immediately closes a puncture in the tire with absolutely no loss of air pressure and permanently repairs punctures and leaks instantly. Rev Tyre Tech Pretoria East. Puncture-proof your tires today.
Wow, what a cool product. I've got to tell you about it. I mean, when Fanie said that we were going to have you guys on the show and this was the product, I was quite skeptical. But I must say I've been a bit of a convert since we had a discussion.
Yeah.
And in particular, the reason why I am is, I was product manager for one of the German brands. And it soon became apparent that we weren't going to be getting spare tires, or at best we were going to get tire repair kits in the vehicle. So we shot over to head office to go and perhaps negotiate for the guys to rethink that decision. And one of the things that they told us, which was very interesting for us, was that they didn't need spare tires in Europe because on average they only have a flat tire every 80,000 kilometers. And even if they do have a flat tire, there's roadside assistance for the guys in sort of 15 minutes. so they weren't too concerned about little old South Africa. But obviously it's a major issue for us still in South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we have lots of flat tires, and you guys have got a solution. Maybe you can expand a little bit on that solution for us.
Well, yeah. When we saw this, I didn't believe in it either. So the first thing we did, we set up the meeting, and we said, well, we want to see this for ourselves, not just a video of someone taking it. Went there and drove over it and saw it actually works. So
I want to interrupt you there because I just want to make it very clear that this is a puncture prevention product.
that's it.
Okay, and like we saw in the video there, this is a coating that gets applied to the inside of the tire, and it prevents your tire from going flat when you drive over a nail or a screw or whatever we have in our roads.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've tested it, and I've installed it in my vehicles, drove a month or two, tested it, and it was still working. So that we decided I think it's a good product for our market.
Absolutely agree. Gerhardt, you are hands-on, like we could see in the video, and here's a video now that we show of the end product. This tire has been coated with the product, and you're driving over metal spikes.
Yeah, that's my vehicle as well.
That's your bucky.
Yeah.
Okay, and have you replaced that tire?
Not yet. I haven't inflated it, nothing.
Nothing.
Still standard from the day we coated it.
Yeah, very, very impressive. Okay, I want to go back to the video, Gerhardt, and you were there, and you did the whole preparing of the vehicle. When it comes to the preparation of the tire casing, there was a part where it was almost like a grinder or a brush that cleaned the inside of the tire. Now, firstly, why do we need to do that? And secondly, does that not damage or the integrity of the tire?
Yeah, affect the integrity of the compromise the tire itself.
Not really. So what happens is the tire inside is oily.
Yes.
So the steel brushes we use, they clear the oil. So we make it a sort of a gravel, grove
Yes, a bit rough.
texture. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what the brush does as well. And then we clean it, we vacuum it, all the debris or whatever is inside, we vacuum it, and then we clean it with compound, so it's more sticky, for example.
Yes.
But there's no puncture within the tire, so it doesn't affect the tire's integrity, nothing. So only a steel brush on the top, and it brushes it clean.
Understand. And it's got to do with the adhesiveness of the product against the inside.
So when the tire's coming out of its mold, it's obviously been lubricated so it can come out of its
That's
mold.
correct.
When it gets vulcanized.
And if you've ever touched a brand new tire, it has got a very slippery, oily type residue.
I've got a question for you guys, and I'm delighted to say we've actually got some of the product here, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this, I suspect. But one of the questions I had is, obviously this gets heated up to a particular temperature, and it becomes a bit of a liquid.
Yeah.
Does it stay a liquid, or does this become a little bit more solid?
So we heat it up to about 200 degrees Celsius, and then it's a liquid, and then apply it, and while it runs at about 80 to 70 degrees, it
cools down and
100% take it off.
But I mean, it is.
Show the people.
It is sticky like you cannot imagine. I mean, we actually chucked one up on the ceiling and it stuck up on the ceiling just now. So
it might fall off just now. So. so what I'd like to do, Pete, is have you got a little bit of a demonstration how this works?
Here's a knife. So what? Yeah. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna try cut this like a block of butter, hey?
Yeah.
Okay. So. No.
So
I'm actually
basically
safety. Trying to get this out, and if we look at this,
just pick it up and show
there's no penetration that's been made in this. It's still
you can't split it.
You can't split it. It's unbelievable.
Okay, so that brings me to the next question, and we've got another video of a tire that we have outside the studio. When it comes to you can see that's flexible.
Yeah.
All right. The elasticity of the product on the inside of the tire. Obviously, we get it sprayed on. Okay. Does this now affect the balancing of the tire?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Okay, why not?
It's coated when the tire turns.
Okay.
So the gravity, it coats it 100% evenly.
Okay.
So it starts spinning, you spread in, cools down while it's running. Once we take
So
it
while
off,
it's cooling down, it's also still turning.
the only
like
time we
saw-
take
like
it off
saw
is
in
when
the
it's
video.
standing still, when it's done.
When it's cured.
100%
Okay,
cured.
and then it's exactly the same as
Consistency, yeah.
This.
I mean, one of the questions I had, which has been answered, and I don't know, Fritz, if you can show that video, was I was worried about whether we were going to still retain the same contact area of the tread.
There you can see it's absolutely as if there's no product in there.
Yeah, it was incredible. And I mean, you can also see on this video, there's 2 screws that have been screwed through. And obviously, that it has not made any impression on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that mirror finish. And that's actually, that mirror finish tells you that it's been coated very evenly as well.
Correct. And if we just wait here a little bit, we'll see the screws. There's the 2 screws that's gone in. And that was one of my questions, guys. Obviously, if it's a very long nail or screw, is it actually able to penetrate through the product, the inner lining? Does it actually go through, or is it just a fact that it goes through the tire and the product sort of stays bulges over the nail or the screw?
It depends on the length. If it's a long one, it will go through.
Okay.
If it's just going through, it will just bulge.
through the tire surface. Yeah. Okay. Now, what happens if that nail comes out, like we saw in your video?
Pulls the
product
with it.
Yeah.
Goes and
and
seals it
seals
again.
the hole immediately.
What happens here is you cut it, it bonds automatically, and you've got your product on the same
Okay.
application day.
So obviously, this is a safety thing here in South Africa. This is a solution to a lot of issues that we have. We don't want to be stuck next to the road with a flat tire.
The problem these days is getting stuck not next to the road while you're changing a tire.
Yeah.
You don't look around.
Vulnerable
at
yes.
that stage. Yeah. So the elderly, can they change tires? Still, some of them can, others can't. I suppose.
I think it's something that we actually neglect a lot. Is to actually educate. Like, I don't even know if Nadia would be able to change a tire.
No, for sure. But I mean, and I think from a safety point of view, we mustn't forget that just this week we've had an incident on the N4 where they stuck spikes on the road.
Yeah.
And when people pulled over to now change their tires, they were immediately attacked.
Yes.
Whereas with this, you're just going to
keep
be
on
carrying on driving as none the wiser. You might feel a little bit of a bump, but yeah. And you're going to steal their spikes if they stick into the tire. So.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's 2 safety questions I've got. We want to interrogate you guys as best as possible. So the first is, obviously, I'm absolutely sold on the fact, and I can see how this really, really does seal the tires. And, when a spark pulls out, I can imagine how this actually self-seals that hole, pretty much like a plug would that you would traditionally put in. But, if I have a flat tire, I know I've got damage to my tire. I know that there's either been a cut or something that's gone in. But with this, you're not going to know because you're just going to be driving all the time and your tires are going to be okay. So, I mean, how would you talk to somebody who puts this product in terms of the safety of the tire? Is there any structural difference in the strength of the tire?
Well, at the end of the day, the tire itself's got so much steel in it. I suppose that's still going to stay there. It will move out of the way when something pushes through, and it will pull it back. And but yeah, you still need to inspect your tires regularly as you would without it.
Correct.
That's a fantastic point, actually, and I think that regardless of whether you got product in the tire or not, we should be checking our tires every day.
Correct.
There's no doubt about that. So I get that. I appreciate that. Then the second one, and I'll end off on that, is the tire weld that we can buy from any of the car accessory shops has a bit of a bad rap, because I don't again think people realize this, that if you put tire weld into your tire, you really should, after you've got to your destination, throw away that tire and put another tire in on the vehicle, because the tire weld erodes the inner wall of the tire.
Correct.
So I take it that this product doesn't do that.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't do that.
All right.
So, like you guys said, this will last the lifetime of the tire.
Yeah.
So the best time to apply this would be when the tire is brand new or it's
New
a brand
car.
new car.
Yeah.
Okay. Does this, in the video, we saw that it applies not only to passenger, but to commercial, 4x4s. This I can imagine would be an absolute winner on a farm.
You know where it would be a winner? Is with the Toyota Gazoo racing team at Dakar, who suffered from tire failures.
maybe
They
we
would have
should-
won it hands down if they'd spoken to you boys.
Maybe we should.
Okay, and a last question, motorcycles?
Yeah, we've tested it actually today. Made a video of it.
There's an on-screen video, guys, of a very nice GS, I must say.
And yeah, we've tested it. It's got sensors.
Yeah.
Tire
TPMS.
Yeah.
TPMS sensors. We've tested it and it works 100% with that as
Balancing is
well.
also
Balancing 100%.
100% true.
Yeah, so it works on the bikes as well.
Okay. So
Here's
here's a test. That's just insane.
That's incredible. Love it.
That's amazing.
Well, I've got to say, we're not easily blown away.
No.
But gentlemen, I must say, this product looks fantastic.
Okay. So you guys saw the little promo video that we showed while we did the interview. You guys have a little surprise for us. You want to do a little bit of a lucky draw.
Yeah, like
Okay, so
giveaway.
what we'll do is we'll post that video on our Facebook page, and then if the guys like and share that video, we'll draw somebody by next week, and then we'll announce a lucky winner that will get a free application,
On their
a free
vehicles.
application on one of their vehicles.
And of
That's
course, the
amazing.
contact details are on screen now if you want to get hold of
Freddie?
so that you can go and have this fitted to your tires as soon as possible. I've got to say, I'm super impressed. So yeah, I'd encourage everybody to do that. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. That was amazing.
Thank
okay,
you.
what I'd like to do now, Pete, is just sit back and enjoy myself because, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for game time. Okay, viewers at home watching with us, this is also now time for you guys to play along. So if you can guess the car, you can just pop your answer into the comments below the video. And it's Gerhard and Freddie going up against Peter Fanie tonight. Guys, I must say that I've, this gets harder every week, so I was a bit nasty. So this is 7 of the 10 weirdest cars in the world. Okay, so it's not the normal run of the mill. We're going to show you a partial of a car. If you can guess the car, give us your answer. You guys must shout your name. I'll come to you, and then you give me your answer. Best out of 7 wins. Are you guys ready to go? You guys at home, ready to go? Let's see. Here comes the first one. Come on, guys. You can even see what it is on the hubcap.
BMW.
Oh, I can't see that. Oh,
Hey, Freddie, yes. I'm going to give you half a point for BMW, Freddie. This is a very, very interesting BMW. Pete, do you know what this is?
No, I don't. It looks
Perhaps one of the ugliest.
Look at that. This is the 1990 BMW Z1. Have you ever seen one?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one?
It looks like it doesn't have doors. What's going on there?
The door slides up and down, Pete. It's unbelievable.
Wow, it's like a window.
It's one of my favorite. Okay, so half a point to Team Rev Tyre Tech Pretoria East. Okay,
fair enough.
Half a point. Okay, let's get to the next one. This is interesting.
Oh, I know that's Peter.
Lamborghini.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
you
must
say
shout
that.
your name.
Shout your name.
You must shout your name.
Okay,
Okay, I'm going
it's
to
a
Peter.
Lamborghini.
What, Pete?
And I've actually seen this. I saw this when it was around.
Yeah.
Probably in the 80s.
It's probably older than that, Pete.
Yeah. I've seen one of these. But it's a Lamborghini. The red one.
Okay,
That's the
so I'm
model.
going to give you half a point. You know. This is the 1986 Lamborghini LM002. I don't know if it was, can I say 002 or can I say
no,
double?
You gotta say 1002.
Very interesting car. I didn't know that one. All right, so it's half a point each to Team Rev Tyre Tech Pretoria East, and Peter Fani's also got half a point. You guys must shapen up now. Okay, here comes the next one.
Peter. Is
Yeah?
that a Lancia of some sort?
No,
Okay. Okay.
Freddie?
Subaru.
Yes, it's a Subaru.
Wow, look, oh, yes,
Half a
there's
point
that,
for
of
Subaru.
course. Wow, there we go.
But guys, this is
know
very,
what-
very interesting. Just look at nobody knows what this is. So I'm sorry that I made it
Bucky
very
of the-
difficult. Eh? Look at that.
A Bucky.
It's a
4x4.
Look at that. So this was called this is a 1980 Brat. It's a Subaru Brat.
Wow.
Can you see a little bit of a Nissan
I was
1400?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a little bit of Toyota there. There's a
Met
little...
'n wild track agterkant daar.
Okay, so half a point to Freddie for getting Subaru. Okay, here comes the fourth one.
Peter,
Damn it.
that is the G3 6x6.
Yes, absolutely,
Yeah.
Pete. Full point for Peter.
And I only know that because when we had our supercar shopping episode
Dubai.
with Charles Grobler in Dubai,
Yes.
that vehicle was featured. Yeah.
Amazing, huh? Okay, so now it's 1.5 to 1 to Peter for you. Now I'm getting nervous. So the tactics are going to come out very soon.
Now, you're going
guys.
to turn my microphone off now.
Turn
instead of
the
yours being off.
make a plan. Or I'll show them the answers while the car's on the screen. Okay, here comes number 5.
Gerard.
Yes.
BMW.
Yes, well done. We're going to do the half points tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a BMW. Nobody knows what this
But
is.
it's like a 3-wheel or something.
Yes, you're right.
but I'm not sure
sure.
what
I'm
model.
going to give you. It's a full mark. The director said.
It's got 4 wheels.
No.
Was that
No,
it's
you're.
got
Yeah,
four
8
wheels.
4.
It's got 4 wheels. Okay,
Yes,
so I can't
Half
give him.
mark.
Okay, half. It's just.
No, it's not just a shadow.
So this is the. I think it's pronounced the Izetta.
Well, your guess is as good as mine.
Izetta 300. So half a point to Gerhardt on that occasion. Let's see what the guys are doing at home. M
Yeah.
is watching with us. Hello, M. How you doing? Morris got it right. The 6x6.
Yeah.
Nadia, my wife's watching, but she has got no clue. She had Porsche there. I don't know what Porsche she was looking at. But thanks for watching, love. Okay, let's go to number 6.
Freddie.
Oh, this is an easy one, eh?
Fiat Multipla.
Have you guys had one or something?
It's actually my other son Henku.
Yeah.
He wants a car like that. with
Really?
with a
2JZ in.
2JZ motor in it. His ultimate sleeper.
Okay, so now it's 2.5 points to 1.5.
Yeah. But
Going-
it's interesting, that car has got 3 seats in the front. It's got
Yes.
a full bank in the front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. But probably the ugliest car I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
definitely.
The guy that it was either a practical joke that
Or it was
designed that car, or it was practical. Okay, here comes the last one, guys.
Peter. Oof. And I know this because when I was at school, one of the guys in my road had this as a car while he went to school, and that is a Nissan Pulsar.
I'm going to give it to you, Pete. Well done. It's a Nissan Pulsar.
Dit by Mark uitgesny. You're going to go with that? All right.
Even the director is now against you. Okay, but I'm going to give it to you, Pete. Don't worry. So what is that? That's 2.5 to 2.5. So it's a draw. Can it be right?
Can it be right?
Did
But
I
mean,
miss something?
Is there a sudden death here?
No. Let's leave it at a draw.
Okay. I literally can't win.
You can't win. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the segment. Thank you very much for joining us. You got great sports. Guys, please remember that the video will be on our Facebook page. If you like and share that video, they will give you a free application for the vehicle of your choice.
Well,
Thank
the
you
winner
very
will,
much.
not
The
for
winner.
everybody who likes and shares. You'll
So-
put these boys out of business.
Sorry, for the winner, the lucky draw winner. Thank you. All right, I'm so excited. I'm actually from the tire industry back in my day, and when I saw this, guys, I was converted immediately.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Looking
Thanks.
forward to it. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, that brings us to the next segment, and in tonight's How Things Work, Peter Viljoen, or Professor Peter Viljoen, will explain to us how aircons work. And this segment is proudly brought to you by Suzuki Auto South Africa.
Welcome to Let's Talk Automotive, and in this week's segment on how things work, we are looking at air conditioning systems in your car. Let's kick off by giving as simple as possible explanation of the science behind air conditioning. So there are 4 main principles at work, evaporation, condensation, compression, and expansion. So evaporation removes heat. Our bodies, for example, cool down by first sweating, and as the sweat evaporates, it cools down, which in turn cools us down. We can show this more clearly by evaporating some gas and see how it chills the surrounding area. Condensation occurs when there is a physical change in the state of gas into a liquid. Compression causes heat, which is what we need to convert a gas into a liquid. You'll notice whenever you pump air, for example, the pump starts to get quite hot. This is due to the molecules pressing together. So we keep compressing until we get a liquid. And finally, expansion of the fluid that passes through the system causes it to change its state back to a gas. So we keep repeating the process to create a continuous supply of cool air. Now let's look at the principles in action. The compressor pumps the refrigerant vapor under pressure into the condenser. So when you press the aircon button on your car, it's the compressor that you feel starting, as it's usually connected via a belt to your engine's crankshaft. The condenser is located just in front of your radiator, and in fact most people confuse it with being the radiator. This is where the high pressure refrigerant vapor changes its state into a liquid as it's being pumped in by the compressor. This process generates a lot of heat, which is dissipated from the condenser by the airflow that is generated either by the fan or at high speeds simply by the airflow entering the engine bay. The refrigerant, which is still in liquid form, passes through a dryer, otherwise known as an accumulator, to remove any moisture. This is critical as any ice crystals that form because of moisture causes blockages and damage, in addition to it forming acid, which causes severe damage to the compressor and other components in the system. From the dryer, the refrigerant flows to the expansion valve. Remember, as we said, that evaporation causes cooling. So now the expansion valve depressurizes the liquid refrigerant, which changes its state into a gas when entering the evaporator. The expansion valve is quite literally the unsung hero in this whole process. The evaporator is mounted inside the passenger compartment behind the dashboard, and it provides cooling in two ways. Firstly, as the refrigerant flows from the evaporator, the refrigerant vaporizes and absorbs heat from the cabin. And secondly, the blower fan pushes air across the chilly surface area of the fins on the evaporator into the cabin. This also causes the moisture in the air surrounding the evaporator to condense, which is collected and drained out the bottom of the car, which you sometimes see as a puddle of water underneath your parked car. And the cycle continues as the compressor sucks the low pressure refrigerant vapor from the evaporator and pumps it back into the condenser. So that's a brief explanation of the workings of an air conditioning system. Now let's have a look at the different types of air conditioners we find in our cars. So we either have a manual or automatic system, with the automatic systems sometimes also known as climate control. With a manual air conditioning system, the temperature coming through the fans is consistent. That is, if you set the temperature to say 18 degrees, the air pumped through the vent stay at 18 degrees. The same is true for the fan speed. It remains fixed at whatever speed you set it to. Now the trouble with this is that we are constantly having to make manual interventions to adjust the temperature, which, unless you're Goldilocks, is either too hot or too cold, especially if you have your better half in the car. However, with an automatic air conditioning system, the temperature of airflow through the vents varies so that the cabin temperature we set remains constant. There is a safety element to having an automatic air conditioner. The body operates best at a temperature of 22 degrees, so constantly having to adjust the aircon system to regulate our core temperature causes fatigue. So by keeping the cabin temperature at a constant 22 degrees with an automatic system actually keeps us alert for longer while we're driving. But we can also have multiple temperature zones in the cabin which can be set at different temperatures, which literally means we can keep everyone happy in the car. Okay, at least from a temperature point of view. Now let's talk about some frequently asked questions. So for example, will I save fuel if I turn my air conditioning off? And the answer is both yes and no. Yes, if you are traveling at under 100 kilometers an hour, but any faster and the additional drag created by the open windows exceeds the amount of additional fuel you would use to run the air conditioner. Can I use any refrigerant to fill my system? The answer is an absolute no. Different systems use different refrigerant. Cars built before 1994 will probably have R12 refrigerant, but as we all know, that caused the ozone layer to be destroyed and was banned in new cars. So post 1994, the R134A refrigerant was used and is found in most cars today. However, by today's environmental standards, R134A is also considered to be a poor solution, as it still contributes to greenhouse gases. So now we have an even better solution. R1234YF, yes, R1234YF, which breaks down much faster than older refrigerants and therefore contributes even less to global warming. Why does my aircon smell when I turn it on? Most of the time, it's due to mildew or mold. So over time, bacteria, fungi, microorganisms can grow in the system where moisture typically collects, especially on the evaporator. Ugh. You can sometimes get rid of the problem by using an antibacterial treatment found at most auto spare shops, and check if your drain tube is not blocked. Also, run the fan for a while without the aircon turned on, which will evaporate moisture which is built up on your coils. To prevent a buildup of bacteria, try not to use the aircon at maximum for too long, as this creates an excessive amount of water. Also have a look at your cabin filter, as not only does it also suffer from a buildup of bacteria, but a dirty filter will also impede the flow of air through the vents. So that's all we have time for in today's episode of How Things Work, and I'm sure you'll be looking at your air conditioner in a whole new light. And until next time, cheers from the Let's Talk Automotive team.
Sure, Pete. I just want to get in my car and put the aircon on now.
No, it's a very, very remarkable system. I'm very thankful that we have it, particularly in this country.
Absolutely. Okay, so now let's just have some fun and have a laugh.
My favorite part of the evening and Tappet of the Week.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a laugh. This is Tappet of the Week. So Pete, being in auto sales, a customer's actually told me that he'll do this.
I actually might have been that customer.
So the story behind this video is that this is a upset customer.
Okay. Well, very upset. I mean,
And he drove through the dealership window, and yes, it looks like a Nissan dealership, and he's just having some fun.
Well, I hope we don't motivate any of our local customers to go do that. Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's back again for some more. He wasn't quite finished.
Okay. Well, I hope that did eventually resolve his problem at the end of the day. Ultimately,
I think his problem got a lot bigger.
Yeah,
I
don't think those are going to scratch out all too easily. Wow.
Have you ever seen anything like that in your life?
No, but I'm with you. I've had customers that have threatened it.
Yeah.
I might have threatened it with one of the cell phone providers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Were you going to park their cell phone back through their window?
No, my bucky.
All right, ladies. This brings us to the end of the show. So first of all, no show next week. We're taking a little bit of a week production break.
We'll be back on the 11th.
Yes,
Yeah.
the 11th we'll be back here. Unfortunately, you're missing out again. We're going to the new E-Class launch.
But that is for old people.
That is for old people,
So maybe I should go.
maybe you should go. Why don't you go, Pete? So there'll be lots of interesting stuff. Like we said, the BMW 128 Ti will be up for review in the upcoming episodes. That E-Class video will be up as well. And yeah, some very interesting characters that will join us as guests in the next couple of episodes.
And also, don't forget, for the viewers out there, that we've got one or two competitions that are still running.
They are.
So we have the Jaguar Land Rover Experience competition. So
That's right.
be sure to check out our Facebook page.
That's actually pinned to the top of our page. So go check out that competition. You could be a lucky winner of a Jaguar Land Rover Experience Day with them in either a Land Rover or a Jaguar, whatever
so you can choose. Yeah, and then don't forget we've now got the Rev Tyre Tech PTA East competition where you can have that system fitted to your tires, and so
we'll have the promotion video on our Facebook page. All you have to do to enter is like and share that video, the Rev Tyre Tech Pretoria East video, and we'll have a lucky draw, and one person will win and get this awesome product fitted to their tires.
And I mean, talking about that product, and on that note, Fanie, well done on this, and we will see you guys.
Have a wonderful evening, guys. We'll see you again on the 11th. Cheers.
Cheers.